go ahead and start, and we'll let.
Commissioners, so you received this notice from the Kansas Association of Counties, and it's titled News Release for Immediate Release. I believe they've sent this to a lot of media outlets, but I talked with our newspaper representative. He didn't think that they had received this. It's very informational, but I don't know that if it really lays itself out to be an actual press release. So I didn't know if the board had any discussion as to whether they'd like to amend it at all, anything they'd like to add or remove, and then we could send it over to the newspaper and also share it on our, I think probably sharing on our social media, we'd want to share the full document that they sent to us, but maybe for the newspaper it might be given a little bit.
Can we include the links on social media?
On social media, yes. Yeah.
But I think we have an opportunity. I mean, to kind of personalize this a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Since it's
to explain what it means at the local level.
right.
When it comes to budget.
I mean, that's something we do have an opportunity to do since it wasn't sent directly to.
If you depend on this money.
Could we add a paragraph that told how much each city would benefit?
I can't.
I don't think we
Can we
have
get
that.
those
For the
numbers?
cities, but I have it for just the county.
Yeah, the league. The league does not even have that. Keep that information. I contacted them. They said no. Like what Vicky was talking the other day, this was a 3.6, 3 point something that you have to go into, but the league, Councilman Ellis did not have that.
Baser had theirs.
Yeah, I mean you can do it
You
in
can
house.
track
That
it
information's
in-house.
available.
Yeah,
Track it
yeah.
in-house,
It's
but it's
ridiculous.
not-
Never mind.
But we do know what the impact
Yeah.
for us, and you can kind of
Yeah.
extrapolate from that to
Baser's
understand.
budget presentation last week said they could lower theirs $2 million. They got
And what's their
I think ours would
worth?
be. I think ours would be around $3 million.
What's their mills
I'm
worth?
not sure.
I was just,
Ours is $1 million.
But ours about $1 million bucks.
do we want? It was just a question. Do we want? And the one thing about but when you're asking about the links and things, though, is we want to leave that
Yeah, 'cause I'm
intact
using that.
because on
For the social
electronic-
media, but I'm
well, on the
using the
social
newspaper,
media,
so-
but the newspaper, Leavenworth Times, has an e-version, and so people can, if they have the electronic version, can click those links. I think I can ask. I'm correct. The e-version, you could click a link.
I think so. I don't.
I think
I mean,
that.
I've looked at the e-version. I don't. It's not somebody.
That's what I said.
It's been a while.
I'm almost positive that I have accessed a link
I think so too.
via the electronic version. But I'm just saying, if you have it and it's there,
I think one of the things that I believe that we should include in this, and even more so after I watched the news the night before last, where the representative from the league was or from the Kansas Association of Counties was actually interviewed on Channel 4, that they also had the Speaker of the House on there talking about how they weren't sure this money would actually be used to reduce taxes, even though statutorily it's required to be used for tax reduction.
and we've
So,
also made that
I
commitment.
I think maybe we would want to put something in there that just reiterates that statutorily, and unlike the state, we do follow the state laws.
Right.
We have to use it to reduce local taxes.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that needs to be added into it.
And we also passed the resolution.
That's what I
Yes,
said.
that we would.
We already did. Everything's in place for Leavenworth County to receive that money, lower taxes.
But Mark brings up a good problem. When you saw the vote that happened this past year, and the representatives were like 88 in the Senate, when it came down to a couple of things, the leadership in some of these committees is what's calling this thing back.
they're
It's
submarine
not. It's not the people that are doing it. So we really need to focus on.
The same thing to me is this last session before they keep saying, we need to come up with bills to relieve property tax. How can we find something? We got to figure something out.
Already have one.
How can we find something to
It's
relieve
there.
property tax?
It's right there in front of
It's
you.
in the statutes to do it, and they just have elected not to because it's.
The Mark brings it
So
up.
I look at
certain.
that stuff like that. You guys are drawing it. I was putting together an LBTR information sheet anyway. I could rewrite this and present it.
That's good with me.
I would find it.
Bob knows go.
And Jeff, I'd like to get some of that information from you too.
Yep, I keep telling you.
Make sure I got everything I
It's most
need.
of the stuff that I've been sent today.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the way I look at all this is there's no one thing that's a panacea for property taxes. But if you tie it all together, you've actually.
Here needs to
I agree.
sorry.
Yeah,
It's-
Yeah, just follow the
Yeah.
law.
Well, I think for us, it's
That's the letter.
somewhere around 3.5 mils that it would reduce. So let's say, you said Baser said it was 2 mils is what theirs would be. So let's say people who live in the city limits of Baser would have a 5.5 mil levy reduction on their taxes. That's pretty,
That's
that's
substantial.
noticeable actually. Not, a little here and there helps, but that's actually a noticeable
Yes.
reduction.
Right.
And it's something that's statutorily required on the books that the state provides. And they have a surplus that they're trying to figure out how to spend. And
And
they
then-
go and fund tax relief.
I emailed to Mark, and eventually we'll get around to it. For next year, I am working on a document and on information to put on the website and stuff for kind of discussing how all of this kind of ties together and works so that we can work on it. Because I think that we need to begin to really push education.
Well, we've
Educating
talked about putting something in the tax notices when they go out.
Right.
And so
And I'm working on it.
that would be a good document that we actually put into the tax documents, and that we probably implement some of what's in here too.
Right. And I'll share that with you once Mark
Because
and I kind of work
that will go
it.
to every taxpayer's mailing address, but it needs to be done by the end of September in order
Right.
to be ready for that.
That's why I said I've been working on that, and I sent it to Mark. He's going to add his input, and then we'll share it with everybody so that we can.
It could be good timing for that as well,
Right.
given the taxpayers will get it right about the time our representatives are getting ready to go back.
Yeah.
And that's when we should.
Are we planning to have another, once we get our legislative agenda set, have breakfast with Like
Breakfast, dinner,
lunch?
whatever.
I mean,
Everything.
Recess.
we need to
How about a
communicate.
retreat?
We need to communicate with them.
Yeah.
I try every chance I
And
get.
it- they aren't reinstating the LAVTR. And instead, they're doubling down on contemplating with the veterans tax bill.
Which is ridiculous.
Which will not, so then you have the 3.4 million that they're withholding from us that they're legally obligated to give us. Now they're trying to take another 2 million plus away from us in other revenue. So, and
Well,
yet,
they're going to have to be
But
held
we have to
accountable.
educate the public. What we have fallen down on, and I think we're doing a better job than a lot of the other jurisdictions, taxing jurisdictions. But we have got to push the educational aspects of all of this.
Pacer
as much as we
yeah,
can.
Pacer has a PowerPoint on theirs, and I probably sat and watched that since the budget started. Everybody started working on the budget. Man, I think I've seen it 7 or 8 times. And it is a really good PowerPoint on the taxes and things. I mean, Manny does an excellent job. We may need to look at doing something like
Yeah,
that.
that's why I said just doing some more education and making sure that we have it out there, that it's on our social media, that's on our website. We have a website. We need to. That's something that we can use, and we can embed links in it. There's all kinds of things that we can do.
Like I said, you show up at our meeting, you're going to sit there and watch it.
Well, the LAVTR on the process of sending out the tax notices, the
The budget,
valuations,
too.
the whole thing, the budget,
Yeah.
anything, everything can be
Shows where the
done.
money's going, graphs, charts. the whole
Right.
works.
Mark's presentation was really good, and
I think if you rewrite it, I think it'll be you're really good at writing. So tee it up.
Just make it more personal.
I think it's a good idea.
that's why I said that's what I had
Yeah, I
told
think that's a good idea, John.
Mark when I asked him to have this meeting, is that I wanted to get this published, but before we did, we needed to make it more relevant to Leavenworth
It needs to fit.
County. I mean, now that we
It
can
needs
do
to
it.
fit our tax exempt county, but
Definitely not going to add some of that.
but our county's a little different than others.
Yep.
But
Okay.
at the same time, I know this is a little off of the works session thing, but at some point, we are going to have to address local service roads. I know that's got to do with taxes, but at some
talk about that in another work session? We can do a
I'm
work
just wanting
session. on
everybody.
that.
Well, the mill's been going up on the local service. So, I mean,
We're not.
But we can-
addressing
Well-
it at the level.
Yeah, we
Well-
can address that in another work session though,
All right,
because
I
it's
know,
not,
but it's
yeah,
just
it's
when we're
not,
talking about
yeah.
WTR and all
Oh, I
that.
know, we can, I understand, and but that's,
And I know, I don't know why they're not, they're not trying to come up with something to replace the way we do property tax and funding the government.
Well-
I mean, there's other ways, I mean, we could throw out different scenarios all day long, but it's not going to go anywhere.
well, we have this, and we can, this is a start, just get this in as a news release, and,
Want to look into any way we can to lower local
Right.
taxes.
absolutely.
When they get in the PICA, then we've almost forgotten about it. I hate to say it, because when you're here dealing with the people one-on-one and trying to explain what we're trying to do, it's a good thing. But when they walk out and go to PICA and they start sitting in the committees, they've got to stay on top of this better and say some of the things they've said about we're not going to lower it. That's the law. We've even said it when Jeff brought it up that one time. Was it a memorandum or resolution, whatever it was? We even said this is what
the
it will
law.
do. This is what we'll do.
We will
So.
follow.
But we need to, and we need to keep
You gotta pass a
emphasizing,
resolution to say you'll follow.
it
I
needs to
know.
be emphasized that
Yeah.
our legislators, every time they
Vote again.
vote against it, are breaking the law that they have established.
Well, it was dead in 1965.
Well, but it's
well,
still,
but when they pass these bills, they waive the requirement for that year.
I
right,
don't-
which
I don't
is,
care.
So,
which is, that's
I mean, so
still-
they're not technically breaking the law.
I'd like to see a judge decide that.
Well, technically, technically it's the truth, technically it's not. I mean, come on.
I mean, I agree with you that they should fund it. I mean, absolutely.
Well, I know.
But at the same time, they find the weasel words and weasel way around it.
Well, they tried to do that.
Weasel
Well, Mike, they
ways.
tried to do that with the school too, and guess who won
Yeah.
that argument?
That's right.
Whether you like it or not, the school prevailed. We would have a good
prevailed.
shot, and I'm not afraid to say if they don't do it this time around, we need to come
We
good.
absolutely need to.
We need to get the legislators in here talking to us, so they're not going to the peak and listening to just what the leadership says, but they're listening
There's our
to.
problem.
But they've been
That's our
talked
problem.
to ad nauseum.
And that's what I was
Yes.
going to say. For some reason, they have turned this, our state legislature, turned this into a war. Instead of being on our side, trying to get this through, they turned this into a battle between the county commission and the state legislature.
You know, Jeff, if I was running for office, this is one of the first things I'd be out there promoting.
But I
And I
think,
think they did.
but we're lowering our
We're going to make them do
swords.
it again, Doug.
We're lowering our swords and hoping
Yeah.
that they'll come and work with us. So that's
We got to keep
All we
doing it.
have.
right.
We're just asking them to help us.
We
Do their job.
And we have a job.
So I'm hoping we can meet with them.
And hope they'll show up.
Well,
Well, we didn't have a good turnout last time.
so do we have our
Yeah, we got all. Sorry.
consensus that we're going to have
Jeff.
Jeff do the edits and then take it to Mark to look at, and then, do we need it to come back to us, or do we just want to move forward?
I think we should put it on an agenda just.
Put
to-
it on-
Yeah, we need to look at it. Don't tell them what Jeff tried to sneak in there. Just kidding, Jeff.
I think it's important to know how much money Leavenworth County. is
Well, that's
not
why I
receiving.
wanted to,
I want
that's why I wanted
From
that,
the time.
and
got the
Mark
list.
has that.
Because you're talking, how many bridges, roads, or any public safety.
We got that information.
Well, when we started talking about this, had to be 5 years ago at least, but we were talking about it well before then, but like one of the conversations when we had it at our legislative breakfast, and I think it maybe it was Senator Braun who said, well, how do I know you're going to lower your taxes? And Commissioner Shimke at the time said, well, I can promise you one thing, the money will be spent in Leavenworth County versus somewhere else in Kansas, even when it's collected in Leavenworth County. So I think that's a good point. The money's collected here. They just keep it in Topeka instead of
There's
distributing.
probably most of our state legislators do not understand how it works. They don't know where the money comes from. They think it's their money that we're asking for.
Sales taxes collected here.
Here, that it was supposed to be returned, or kept here.
Let me ask you one just one quick question. Maybe you'll have the answer and I don't. You know, we went out to Hayes and talked to 60-something counties, Mike and I did, about this and about other things. And I'll be out there again this coming spring if they don't pass it. How can we get information or have contact to make the county commissioners in other counties that aren't really getting this aware of this?
Well, if they are not getting it through the push that's happening right now through the Kansas Association of Counties and all the information, that is why this is happening. And so,
But should we be reminding them? A lot of times people get stuff and don't even read it.
Well, there's a listserv that.
Well, I know. Like, I'm just saying that we should. Is there a way that we should say, "Hey, have you read this article? Have you read this?" or something like that? Because it's going to take other counties.
well, and we have the largest counties that are on board, that understand, that do realize, and are working on it. So, you know,
Well, so I can
sometimes
tell
it's like you can be. Sometimes we have to make movement and do things on behalf of people who may not understand. So, or
Well, Mike, how many-
because it doesn't affect them,
How many-
they don't think.
What percentage do you think of the 67 counties that were out there didn't have a clue?
40%.
Oh, yeah. Commissioner
And the ones that
changed,
did-
Administrator changed, Commissioner Cos and I went to Riley County in 18 or 19? 2018?
2018.
2018, and we met with Gary County, Riley County, and Shawnee,
Yeah.
maybe more months. But anyways, we were talking about then a class action lawsuit, and then shortly after that, some people didn't get reelected, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So
And Jeff and I brought it up in Overland Park when we were in our conference there, but it was when we had broken out into
Smaller groups.
counties that were that we were the
Size of.
size of. We were the smallest of the largest, but they were
At least half the people on the room
didn't know what we were talking about, and we made sure that they did understand, that they began to talk about it. So it's just
it would come up at the conferences, but not a big push.
But this
just
isn't-
mentioned,
Right.
you know, back when Randall Allen was
Right.
Stacy. Now Jay Hall is getting a lot of support from all
It's
the
changed.
other counties. It has
right.
changed
So we
since
have some
2018.
momentum, and we just need to make sure that it does not.
But,
That
but
it
you're
continues.
absolutely right. There's so many people that are been elected to office that didn't even know this ever existed. And also managers and administrators.
I know.
Yeah.
So, but if you were around when this started,
I was.
cutting it, and I was too. Jeff, Mark, and Vicki, we were around. We remember. And it was supposed to be just temporary.
Yeah.
But then
Well,
2008 hit.
Added to the
Recession.
list. Added to the list.
Added to the
You know,
list.
I think that I think it probably had kind of just died off a little bit, a lot because people just realized they're never going to do the right thing and reinstate it. But then they doubled down and started blaming us
Yeah, that's-
for increasing our local taxes at a rate faster than inflation. Well, you took away the LABTR, we had to replace that. That you eliminate the money means we have to replace it with what? Local taxes. So they eliminated that. Then they got rid of the business machinery. They did
Right.
business
Yeah, I
machinery.
remember that too, Mark. Yeah.
Another huge hit.
And that was
And
going to
guess
be
what?
funded for 10 years.
And they funded one payment.
6 months.
Yeah, one payment.
And a lot of the conversations that I've had always circle back to, well, we had this report from the Kansas Policy Institute.
Yeah.
Get rid of the Kansas Hall. That's not who we
It was
need to be
totally
getting
fine.
our.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't be getting anybody that is
It-
relying on that. for-
Again, why would our tax rate go
Unbiased.
up? Because we're losing revenue that the state is either giving away or keeping in their coffers.
And I told them the years that Policy Institute's report said it wasn't working was because the valuations were going crazy those things. So they didn't tie it together that the reason everybody's taxes is still going up is not because it didn't work, because the valuations went up.
That's not suiting their agenda. So,
So, but I'm, like Mr. Walker said, remember when the business machinery thing, and they promised the counties they'd fund it for 10
Right.
years. Was it 10
Slider.
years?
I think it was either 10
Sliding-
or
it
7
was
years later.
right.
Okay. And they did it the first 6 months.
And
We
then
didn't
that
get a
was it.
full year, I don't think.
I don't think so. I don't think we got
I think we got 6 months. And then, of course, in the mortgage registration file.
Yeah, remember that too.
That's why I said it's,
What else was here? And then, of course, LADTR. There's something else.
There's a long list.
Oh.
Essentially, the businesses,
Demand transfers.
Demand
Oh,
transfer.
yeah, the demand transfer, city county highway, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the list just goes on and on.
And
I
continue to
understand.
want to say what we have to pay for
Yeah.
at the same
I
time.
think some of what we heard
Mandates.
today, not to reopen that subject up, so please
Please don't.
don't follow up on any of this, but, you know, you hear an organization say that they're getting their funding from the state and it's not adequate, and so they need the county to pick up the difference. Well, that's an unfunded mandate in a sort, you know, so they aren't funding their own programs adequately, and then it falls to the county. So there's just so many things,
It just
and
goes on
I
and
know
on.
we can't win everything. There has to be concessions on both sides usually when you're doing these things. But when they sit in Topeka and call us out for increasing taxes while they're keeping our revenue, it hits home.
Yep.
Don't forget about writing about the surplus.
That's what
And
really
revenue
bothers me, Doug. is that
vouchers.
they're sitting with that surplus and they get.
Yeah.
I thought it was for the citizens.
Yeah.
What I see as a really good thing is we've moved the needle within the organization. Because you have now Jay Hall and Bruce.
They weren't
Mike
there 2
Taylor.
years ago, Mike. You called. They didn't do that.
Right, because you've seen a definite change
Yep.
Yeah.
in how the leadership is supportive of LAVTR, and I'm hopeful they'll be supportive of other, like the constitutional amendment, other ways that I think property taxes has not really, unfortunately, and I'm surprised, it hasn't been totally on their radar. And it should be.
The
Well, it's
amendment
the first time I've ever seen anything on the
benefiting
news about
everybody,
LABTR.
not just.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't buy, we couldn't have bought that kind of exposure.
Yeah. Yep.
We tried.
And
Put it
we've
in
done-
paper, we paid for it.
Yeah,
We've
We tried to buy it,
exactly.
but then we did it on the city.
And
Yeah,
good
we
timing
paid
as
our
well
own
as all
ad
these
to do
budgets
it.
are
That's
out.
right,
So,
that's right.
Well, and one little step at a time.
yes.
And even on all these other things we debate, it's always
I know,
one little
but-
step at a time.
But back to the constitutional amendment. I mean, surely it passed, but did they not?
that was 4%.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
yeah.
4%, huh?
But well, I mean, we all think surely it would pass, but we thought the tornado relief bill would pass, and it took
Well,
3
I'm
years.
talking about,
Yeah.
I'm talking about on the, it has to go on the ballot.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
Okay.
Jay Hall said he thinks if it goes to the ballot, it will definitely pass.
Okay,
I
we're
agree.
done
Then you're
So-
talking
on
2026.
agenda stuff, because
Go on and on.
At least.
stick with our
Alright.
agenda, because
Well,
I don't want to
Taxes
have.
we can.
Yeah, I just don't want us to, so we're done. Thank
Get on the
you.
weeds,